Hey guys.
Hi.
You're listening to Not As We Planned, so get ready for
Honest,
raw,
unfiltered,
unhinged story,
where we share our advice, opinions,
and talk about all the shit that people avoid discussing. We want to point out we are not qualified professionals, although I feel like I am one.
and what we say is the advice we would give to our besties. Hello. Welcome back, guys.
Hey. This is our first time filming, in a long time, and it's officially January.
I'm really ill. Just apologies if there's coughs this episode. I've got the flu thing.
Go out.
Honestly, I've been ill for like nearly 3 weeks. I'm freaking over it. So,
How was your Christmas? It feels weird talking about Christmas now, but
I didn't have a great Christmas.
No.
Yeah, and I feel like I've been battling a lot the last few weeks with trying to make peace with just how shit it was.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I was really anxious anyway because I didn't have the kids. So I had my boyfriend here Christmas Eve, and like we were both feeling really weird because it was both our first without the kids, and we just like it was a nice evening, but it wasn't.
Only silver lining is at least
We did, yeah, and
happy.
Christmas morning was nice. Like we woke up with each other, gave each other our presents and stuff, and like. But then we were both like just sat there and we both just got really upset. Like it was weird. I will not lie. Like coming downstairs and like all the presents being under the tree. Like it felt weird. But we went to my sister's for lunch, which was really nice. And it was the first time he's met my sister's husband's parent.
right.
They'd just as soon as he left, because he had to leave halfway through to get his kids, and everyone was just like, God, he is just so different and so perfect for you. And like, they were like, he's so into, like, just, it was so nice to see other people see what I see. Mm-hmm. We just had it was really nice. But then I got the kids back so I went to pick them up at 4:30. I get to the car park where I was like, I'm not coming to your house. Let's meet in the middle.
Fine.
And he's like, oh, Milo's been sick. Like, he's just had a nap. Like, they were both exhausted, like, crying, like, because Milo had been sick. Theo had just woken up or something. Get back to my sister's house. Milo literally starts burning up, like, a temperature of 39.7, like, boiling. Like, honestly, I have to show you pictures of him. He's just, like, on the sofa, like, really floppy. So I'm, like, on the phone to 111 because I'm like, this isn't normal. Like, and as well, like, medicine wasn't bringing his temperature down. You know, when you're like, Merry fucking Christmas. Yeah. Anyway, by the time like I'd managed to speak to someone, they wanted to send an ambulance out for him. And I was like, no, I'm not taking an ambulance away from anyone. Like, I'm happy to bring him in somewhere. I just want to get him checked over. Like, he's not himself. Like, he couldn't even like keep his eyes open. It was really weird. And then they were like, oh, it's fine. We'll get someone to call you back. By the time someone had called me back, he'd perked up a bit. So I was like, it's fine. But you know, you just like, and then Theo, they were both like, all they wanted was to literally be attached to me. And everyone's trying to get these family photos that they're waiting for my kids to get there. And they weren't vibing it because they're knackered. And, you know, you're just like, it was really hard work. It was really, really hard. This is my Christmas. And, you know, I was really upset because I was like, this is all I've got.
Yeah.
And then that next day, Milo was really, really ill again, like temperature. So we didn't do anything on Boxing. So we didn't get my Christmas Day on Boxing Day. We were just here. And it was pretty crap. Like, it's hard looking after kids when they're unwell. Theo was frustrated and wanted to go out. And then I feel like since then, the kids have taken it in turns to get ill. I've had sickness. I've had, like, kids have diarrhea. I've then got the flu. And when I was like wiped the other day, like to the point like I couldn't physically get out of bed. So I asked my ex, I was like, look, the kids was with him over the weekend. I was like, I am burning up a temperature. I can barely get out of bed. Like, could you just possibly have them like for one more night and have them tomorrow? Like Milo's got childcare anyway. He was like, no, I'm working. So I had to have them back. I sent Milo to childcare, which I wasn't going to do. And Theo, bless him, was so good. I was like, look, mummy really isn't well. I need you to just let me sleep today. And like, he just got on with it. Like,
No.
But there's nothing worse than being ill and having zero help. Like, obviously, no, my family didn't want to then get ill from Milo. Like, So then you're stuck on your own feeling, I'm still not recovered. Like you can hear, I'm still not recovered. Like, because I've had no break to do it. So yeah, sorry to come in with the negative. I think the only positive I wanted to say is like, if you had told me that this is how my Christmas would have gone, and I was already dreading it, I would have been devastated. And I've kind of made peace with the fact that it's gone. I can't change it. And that's my first one, not having them, and it was shit. And hopefully it will never be that shit again.
Yeah.
And that's just how I've had to look at it.
And I know that next year it's yours.
Like, yeah, it's just... It was crap. Like, there were lots of things we couldn't do. And I feel like we've had a bit of a lousy... I feel like my kids are always ill in school holidays. Like, just be ill during term time. Like, because I feel like we never get to do fun stuff. So I feel like I've crammed stuff in. But yeah, how was yours?
I feel bad.
Yeah, you should.
No. Do you know what? One thing I will say, I was really like reflective over Christmas, because I think I spoke about this previously. Like, it really was kind of like the first Christmas where I've been genuinely like content for like a really long time. Like Christmas Eve, what did I do with the kids on Christmas Eve? We actually ended up just because sometimes I just feel like, for me anyway, there is so much pressure to do all these different things with the kids. And I do find it hard going into like London on my own with the three of them. Like, so instead of just making it difficult for myself, I met up with my best friend and her kids. They're all best friends. We went out for a really nice lunch, came home. We did the Christmas Eve boxes. Yeah. They got in their pajamas. We watched a Christmas movie. We did some colouring, and it was just like
I love
a nice day.
It's been like Christmas, yeah.
A nice day without having that pressure of like needing to do what everyone else is doing on Instagram. So it was really nice. And then once they went to bed, my boyfriend came over, spent the evening with me, but he didn't stay because God knows what time. I didn't know what time they were going to wake up for Christmas. So it was nice just to have someone there, like, yeah, before Christmas. And then, yeah, Christmas Day, like the whole morning, I was with them on my own. But like, I think what's something that I want to really highlight for anyone that may have just like experienced their first Christmas on their own as a single mum, or they feel like being January and how we've discussed it is kind of like that divorce month. If you are worried that Christmas in December is going to be your first Christmas on your own, I was so content, just me and them. I literally just what I'd like. I just wanted to be just me and them, and it was just watching their faces when they open their presents, and like you bring the magic, regardless of whether it's on Christmas Day or has to be on Boxing Day. Like you still get to see those like faces light up. It's just fucking priceless. And then went to my parents for lunch, and then their dad picked them up at like 6, and then that evening I went to my friend and we had like a really fun evening. We like baked, we coloured, we watched Harry Potter. And I just thought, you know what, like you've just got to make the best out of what you've got. Yeah. I'm really grateful I had them on Christmas Day. Wish I could have had them more, but I made plans with who was around and still had fun. And then they were with their dad on Boxing Day, and then it is very back and forth because it was then my birthday. So
did you have them on?
So I had them for a bit on my birthday. Like, I wanted like the morning with them, but then and then I was with my boyfriend and said, but yeah, no, it was really nice, and also something to share. My boyfriend met my ex-husband.
Oh God, how was it?
So
we've still not done that.
It was actually really funny. So it was once the kids had gone to bed, and I was at my house with my boyfriend, and he was coming over. I said, like, would you rather like go out? We can grab a coffee. And he was the one that was like, I'd rather just pop in for a cup of tea.
But if you offer,
to be honest, I said to him, we'll work around you. Like, it's going to be the most uncomfortable for him, so I'm happy to do whatever he wants. So he arrived and like walked into the kitchen, and the first thing, honestly, like in my head, I'm thinking like, it is just a bit of an awkward situation, isn't it? I think it's funny. In my head, I was like laughing, and it must be quite weird to walk into your old home that you owned, with another man. Like,
yeah, that is weird.
There, and he literally looked at him and went, "You're a big fella," and then my boyfriend was like, yeah, I am. And I literally just sat there like, okay. And then Ivy called me. So, so that broke the ice for me. So I was like, bye. So I left them, went upstairs, and she looked at me. She was like, I know he's here. And I was like, who? She's like, your boyfriend. I was like, he's really not. She's like, yeah, he is. So then I had to go and get their dad to go upstairs, make out that it was him. And then do you know what? He ended up staying for like a good 40 minutes.
Wow.
So we sat around the table, chatted. They asked each other about like work, and he was asking him about his kids and how old they are and how long he's been without his ex. It was honestly just like
fine. Yeah, that's what
fine.
Right.
And then it was quite funny because when he left, my boyfriend was like, "Seems quite nice." I was like,
"You have no idea."
Whose side are you on, hun?
Yeah.
He was like, no. He was like, just on the surface, like it was fine.
Being very, I have no idea what my ex will be like.
Yeah, which I find crazy because anyone was saying that the way your ex acts is as if like he had been wronged. And it just blows my mind.
I know.
But you know what?
I just want to get it done.
I understand. So it was nice. It wasn't awkward or anything. Like, but yeah, do you know what? The kids go back to school today. Are yours back to? Is this today's first day? I'm a bit sad.
I'm really sad. I feel like I got cheated out of like a Christmas, and like I could easily do another week.
Yeah. I just love those slow mornings. I was really reluctant. I was really worried about this morning with Blake going back to school. I was really worried about how he'd sleep last night because he got into bed and he was like, I don't feel well.
I had the same.
And I know that he gets anxiety and his tummy hurts. I was literally like, you're just a bit nervous. It's so normal. Like, I completely understand.
I used to get like that going back to school as a teacher.
Think of your friends you're going to see. And he slept through. And he was probably the best behaved he has ever been on a school run. Like, and you know, when like
my kids are really good today as well.
I feel bad, but I'm like waiting for like, what's the catch? When are you going to let it all out? Because I'm can't wait. But anyway, should we crack on with some as we've had loads coming in?
I'm not sure the title of this exactly. I was cheating on with his ex-wife.
I was cheated on with his ex-wife. So like, he cheated on her with his ex-wife.
Maybe. We'll see. Probably. Hello, you lovely ladies. I've been following you both in your podcast since episode 1. I have had a rough few years, but finally thought I'd met the one. I'm writing this email absolutely heartbroken hours after reading some messages between my partner and his ex. Background story. I met my partner at work and he had 2 children and was still technically married. He had separated and was in the divorce process. He still lived at home, which I thought was a bit of a red flag, but he explained why, children's specific details, and showed me messages to reassure me he was separated and getting a divorce, etc. I've always had a gut feeling that something was off, but he never gave me reason to think that this was the case.
This is it. Why do we ignore it?
No, do you know what? I am really trying this new thing. Like I was speaking a few weeks ago quite a lot to my boyfriend about this, especially like things like this, trigger, like massive trigger. And I'm really trying this thing where I'm just like, it doesn't mean that.
Cool. But the thing is like, we hear it time and time again where you ignore the gut.
No, I agree.
Sometimes I do think there is that fine line with like, is that my gut or is that me like
healing?
Trauma.
Yeah, I agree. I saw something about that. It was like, yeah, is that... I think that's what becomes a really confusing thing to understand about yourself is when you've been through trauma and you're trying to heal from it, it's, am I looking at a red flag or is this just my old trauma coming back? And how do you differentiate between that?
Yeah.
I saw something and it was like, actually being triggered by those things you should recognize it as your body's sign of healing, and if they're showing you all these other signs that those aren't, they're not red flags, that's a sign of you healing, don't ignore that and actually be grateful that that's part of you that's healing.
Do you know what else is interesting? I saw something and it was explaining how like different parts of your body feel different ways depending on whether it's fear, whether it's triggers, whether it's trauma. Like it was like, if your pain is in your chest, that's fear. if the pain is in your stomach.
My anxiety.
Yeah, same. It like suddenly gets tight.
Yeah.
That's fear.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Interesting. That does make sense.
And then it's something like, but if you feel it like, actually feel it in your stomach, that could be like
the gut warning.
Yeah, the gut feel. If you feel it in your head, there was literally explanations for like
here. I feel like it suffocates me sometimes. Do you know what? Actually, my anxiety's got so much better recently.
That's good.
Yeah.
Especially with the fact that you've had like a really tough Christmas.
I have, but I think that's also pulled me closer to my boyfriend.
Yeah.
Because not that I'd ever wish it on someone not to have their kids, but you know when someone's like, I get it. It's like, no, he really gets it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've always had a gut feeling that something was off, but he never gave me a reason to think that the case. He left the house after 3 months of us dating, stating it wasn't fair on me and he wouldn't be able to have a future if he was still living there, which I appreciated and was thankful for. I asked him from the very start if anything was still going on or had gone on since we'd been seeing each other, and he reassured me that this wasn't the case and he was just co-parenting. 2 years on, and we're at the stage of me meeting his children and looking for a house together this year. I'm meeting his ex-wife in the near future to discuss the children, which I'm absolutely fine with, but I said to my partner that I just need to know 100% that you were completely over and nothing happened while seeing me. He reassured me again and I tried to ignore my gut feeling. Ladies, always trust your gut. I finally had the courage to look at his phone, something I've never had to do before and was dreading it. I typed words like try again, sex, kiss to see if anything showed up. 2 months into us being exclusive and seeing each other, and there it was, evidence that they had been intimate together whilst he was still at the house. Oh my God. I feel absolutely sick writing this and I have no idea what to do. I'm madly in love with him and I'm meeting his children shortly, which I have wanted from the start. But this has made me severely lack trust. And also, if there was something back then with her, has this continued every time he picks up the kids? He also told her that he found her really attractive and will always love her. Now they don't communicate much and the divorce is nearly finalised, but this has come since she found out he had a new partner and she seems to have distanced herself. He shows me messages about how much she hates him and will never go back with him, so there's nothing to worry about now, but the betrayal is killing me. I can't cope with the lies. I asked numerous times for the truth and I'm an understanding person and I've been able to communicate about this, but finding out through a text message is just horrendous. Please, 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 can I get some advice? I don't know whether to confront him, whether I wait to meet his ex and see if she mentions it, whether to ignore it because it was 2 years ago and nothing has happened since. I feel heartbroken that the one man I trusted and wanted to meet his children and have a future with them all has lied to my face over and over again. I understand the divorce process is hard and there will be mixed feelings when it comes to kids and ending the family, and I might have been able to forgive him, but to find out this way has broken me. Thanks again, girls, for all the help and advice. Also, if there are any ex-wives or partners listening and you know of a similar situation, please tell us. We don't believe you are bitter, but we just have the same man telling us lies again and again. I would have appreciated a message from her saying, I know you're seeing him, but it wasn't completely over and we have been intimate, as I felt absolutely disgusting and like I'm the cheating homewrecker, whereas he told me he was divorcing and completely separated from her.
God, it's really difficult. I'm trying to think how I would feel having found something out 2 years on, but I feel like at the end of the day, like cheating is cheating, regardless of when it happened.
I wouldn't be able to get over that because I just think, well, what else have you lied about? Like the fact you asked him back then, so that's my worst nightmare. That's literally like my worst nightmare.
Yeah.
It depends on the kind of person you are. Like, I know for me, I would look back at that and be like, right, well, you've been dishonest about that. Like, what else are you...
Do you know what must be so hard, though, is imagine, just hypothetically, that was the only time he did it, because in those first 2 months, he wasn't completely sure of her. I'm not saying that that's okay, but I'm just saying, just in his head, he wasn't completely sure. It was really early days. And now imagine, like, he's absolutely besotted with her. He can't wait to spend the rest of his life with her.
He's introducing the kids.
Yeah. So, like, it almost seems like, oh, you actually throwing away something that has such potential because of a mistake that was made when they were only, like, a few weeks.
Oh, it just annoys me that it was, like, there's been a significant amount of time between it. Because I feel like, had she known earlier, you could have made a decision
I know, but unfortunately,
I just know what I would do. I would personally end it, but that's only because of the kind of person I am. And I know in my head, I'd literally send myself crazy, being like...
I think one thing that would be interesting is confronting the situation.
I would
seeing how he reacts. If he like goes guns blazing, how dare you go through my phone, blah, blah, blah. I think that highlights the type of person he is, and would very much be like, nah, leave.
Yeah.
But I feel like, I'm not saying that if he turns around, he was like, the only reason I didn't tell you was because honestly, I'm going to be honest, like it was really early days. I didn't think too much of it. It was the only time. I'm so sorry I disrespected you. What can I do to make you feel better? Do you want to talk to her and meet her and ask her everything? Like she'll tell you. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know whether that would make me think like it was a really shit time and maybe their relationship hadn't complete. I don't know. I don't think I could sit there and say straight up, leave. I definitely think that you need to confront the situation, let him know how you feel, let him know how you found out. And I think his reaction and how he goes about it can be a big factor as to what you should do.
Yeah,
I really would like it if you could keep us updated because I want to know.
Okay, that's set my answer too.
Amazing. This is quite cute. So it sounds like it's maybe a happy ending. Okay. A love letter to the pod that helped save my marriage.
Stop.
Cute. Now,
yeah.
Ready? Hi, ladies. I'm not exaggerating when I say your podcast has been a lifeline for me, and I've been here since day one. Honestly, I can't even remember how I stumbled across you, but somehow you've been part of my journey long before I even knew I'd need you. It's funny when we hear that, isn't it? When people have been listening and then they're like, I can't believe it. I'm now.
Yeah.
That breaks my heart.
Yeah, it breaks my heart.
Little did I know you'd become my wise and hilarious companions through what's the wildest roller coaster of my life, especially this past year. So firstly, thank you for your honesty, your humour, your advice, and for being the voices in my ear when I didn't know how to find my own.
Why is this making me emotional?
It's so cute.
I'm ill and I feel like I'm just going to cry.
Wait, give me a chance. Now, I want to share something that I hope might inspire others who, in the thick of it right now, a happy ending or maybe a new beginning that I truly believe wouldn't have been possible without the lessons I've learned from you two. That's a bit cute. Oh no, what? Pass me a tissue. Here's the backstory. My husband and I have been together for 18 years, married for 10 with one child. We've always been equals in our relationship, and while no couple is perfect, we never had any major issues. But after having our child, things started to change, mostly with me. I lost myself, my self-esteem tanked, I hated my reflection, gained weight and stopped prioritising myself entirely. No matter how much my husband tried to build me back up, I was stuck in a cycle of self-loathing. This naturally took a toll on our marriage. I became paranoid, convinced without reason that my husband might leave me. I was sabotaging the very thing I wanted to protect. Things came to a head last year and I finally sought therapy. CBT was my first step. It helped, but it wasn't enough to stop the damage. Our marriage hit rock bottom. We became distant, resentful and disconnected. And then my worst fear came true. My husband decided to leave. He moved out. I was heartbroken, terrified and felt like my world had crumbled. But even in that pain, I made a decision. I promised myself I wouldn't let this destroy me. I sought more therapy, started prioritising my health and rediscovered the parts of myself I'd buried. Little by little, I clawed my way back. I worked out, I ate better, I gave myself permission to care about me. Your podcast was my constant. On my hardest days, you were my cheerleaders. I'd shout advice along with you in the car on my way to work, feeling like I was part of the conversation. You reminded me what self-love looks like, and for that, I'll be forever grateful. And then something amazing happened. My confidence started to return. People noticed the glow up. And for the first time in years, I began to see myself as someone worthy of love, not just from others, but from myself. 7 months after my husband moved out, the unexpected happened and we reconciled.
What is this so cute? I can't stop.
It wasn't easy, but through couples counselling, brutal honesty and a lot of self-work on both sides, we found our way back. My husband learnt the importance of validation and that it's okay for me to need that. And I learnt how crucial it is to hold onto yourself in a marriage. Confidence is the sexiest thing a girl can wear. Chanel was right. Now our marriage is stronger than ever. We've rebuilt something that feels unshakable. And I know that's because we were both willing to fight for it, to own our mistakes and to remember why we chose each other in the first place. Not all separations have to end in heartbreak. If you both want it and you both put the work in, you can come through the other side. So thank you for being my pick-me-up, my virtual besties, and the voices that kept me going when I wasn't sure I could. I still get major FOMO listening to you and wish I could sit with you in person. But for now, I settle for being a listener from the north who owes you more than you'll ever know. Big love, one grateful listener. How fucking cute is that?
It's nice to hear like a positive. Like obviously, I think it's quite different if there's been like infidelity or
maybe we want to highlight. We don't want something like this to allow people to hold on to that hope that you're going to get that happily ever after if you're with someone that isn't a good guy.
Yeah,
and not a lot of people change. This is
I agree.
Different, but it's just. Do you know what? I think I think we've said it before, when a relationship breaks down, when it is that sort of normal,
mundane,
general, like you've had kids, you lose that intimacy, you don't work on each other anymore, you don't prioritise each other, you don't date. And it's those people that don't stray and have affairs or do something that causes a lack of trust or betrayal that absolutely can come back if they want to and they're willing to do the work and take that ownership and do the therapy. And it's so nice to hear.
I feel like sometimes couples like that almost need to have that a step away to like be like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like the fact, like I think what you said about like finding yourself and your self-confidence, like I don't want to be sexist, but I think particularly for women when we have had kids and our bodies change and we do lose that confidence and that belief like we're sexy, because like a man can just go and find someone who's not had a kid yet, do you know what I mean? Like I think there's a lot of pressure on females and I think we often do lose ourselves, not just physically, but I feel like for the most part we are the ones whose life takes the bigger toll of change. Like,
but you know what else it is? I think because of that, the man also loses priority. They go down on the pecking order. The children become more of a priority, and then they're not having their ego stroked or feeling like they're worthy.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's why a lot of the time affairs do happen. I'm not sitting here justifying it. I don't think it should happen. It's a weakness that I think that if you're a type of person that doesn't, it's that communication like we've always said, isn't it? And unfortunately, it's so easy I could literally narrate an example of how a marriage falls apart.
Yeah.
Like it's so easy to see when you look back, isn't it?
Yeah.
But another thing I want to quickly point out, because I have had some people ask us in regards to Patreon, I've had people ask us, we talk about it, but I've never actually explained how you can join. So if you do want that extra fix, I mean, I'm hoping that this person should be on Patreon.
Yeah.
But if you go onto our Instagram and you click our link and you can then join Patreon there, and then you download the Patreon app, there's not only is there an extra episode.
Well, you're going to have, how many have we got on there?
Like 30.
Yeah, so you'll be able to binge out on over 30 episodes.
But not only do you get an extra episode a week, but what we also do is we have a monthly Zoom where it's literally like chatting like this, but with people that are able to converse with us, ask questions. It is so nice. And then the chats that we've got loads of different group chats of all different things. One's about advice. It's just really, really nice. I feel like if you want that extra support as well as an extra episode, that £4 a month, go and treat yourself.
Okay, your podcast found me when I needed it most. Always trust your gut. Hi ladies, firstly I want to say that your podcast found me when I finally started opening up to friends about what my real life was like dealing with my narcissistic ex. My Instagram algorithm quickly started to change.
It's interesting, isn't it?
And there you both were. Sat there talking about the very thing I was going through.
Do you think your phone hears you?
It does. I've had some weird stuff recently and I'm like, that scares me. I don't like it. How have they moved on? How are they having it all and I'm not? How is he with someone else and I'm not? It felt so unfair that I was at home with our planned child, that I had 3 miscarriages before him, whilst he got to go out and not parent or care or carry any of the load. You two were guardian angels in that moment. I started catching up with every episode from November 2024, sometimes listening to 10 episodes a day whilst my son slept or I did the dishes, going about my daily life with you both by my side. Guys, you're making me emotional today. I won't go detailing my whole relationship with this man child, as discussing him and our relationship still triggers me and angers and upsets me. But I do want to go into one specific story. Moral of the story is to always trust your gut. Long story short, my fiancé left. He left me with a 3.5-month-old, which in turn resulted in me being my son's only parent and having the severe postnatal depression after a few weeks alone. I hid any signs of this, as he always took precedent and would claim he had postnatal depression after our son was born. Don't get me wrong, I don't diminish male depression. However, I draw the line at men claiming postnatal depression when nothing they deal with is postnatal. Let's not take away from the melting pot of what women endured post-childbirth. Men need to stop diminishing the act of childbirth and the aftermath of that. After a month of him being gone, he tried to worm his way back again, which he was always so good at. I stood my ground, and in the power of knowing I had to do this on my own from now on, as he was not my person and not wanted to be stuck in the toxic cycle he thought was okay.
Good for you. That's
powerful.
Yeah.
After a month of him not prioritising seeing his son, this couldn't even commit to 1 hour a week. I had a huge breakdown. I asked him to come into the house so we could chat. He was reluctant, saying he was doing well and he didn't want to be brought down again. He came and I was a mess, crying, saying I need help with my son, as doing it alone with postnatal depression was something I couldn't manage, as well as being our son's only parent. He was very cold. I couldn't understand why seeing the mother of his child in distress wasn't enough for him to step up and help with the child he helped to create. I remember saying, is there no love there to even just help when I'm crying out for some help with our son? And his mother, and this motherfucker truly sat there, and I'll never forget the words that came out of his mouth next. I don't look at you like I want to fuck you anymore, no. This absolute cretin of an idiot thought I was saying, don't you love me anymore, instead of listening to my words of, I need help, I'm really struggling doing this on my own. In the cretin,
I love that word.
In the midst of my postnatal depression, I took this comment off with a confused look and sidestepped it, stating that isn't what I was getting at. Sorry, I'm feeling really...
I need help with our son, but alas, just gave me more ambition to handle this struggle on my own. It was so damn hard, but getting through that and going to therapy made me so in tune to his bullshit, and slowly I'm finding my way back to the woman I was before he broke me. It's so relevating when you suddenly become like numb to their bullshit, or you can suddenly see like, oh lol, you're gaslighting me. Like I can see it now. Like
yeah, that is powerful. I remember coming out of my marriage, and I think like so many not realising, I didn't even know what the word gaslight meant whilst I was married. And after I came out, I was like, oh my God.
It really is. Those glasses come in, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know people say it's a metaphor, but it actually happens.
No, it does.
And you know what? I mean, I know this isn't Patreon, so I need to be slightly careful, but the other day I had a conversation with my ex and I could just see so clearly the whole conversation was a lie. And I was just laughing and sort of going with it a bit because I thought it was funny. I didn't bother pulling him up on it because he'd then lie, but it was just like, oh no, like, is that how obvious it was?
Yeah.
But I didn't notice it. It's wild. No one ever warned you about being a single mum to a newborn. Instead of bouncing ideas off your partner and having two minds on how to deal with the dilemma, you're alone, crying and Googling if your son needs to go to hospital, and you're on your own. Zero financial support and avoiding CMS payments. Every single night feed, not being able to even shower or shit in peace, to have 10 minutes of solace before gaining up the courage for another feed. Every hard night, it takes 2 hours to rock your baby to sleep, or having someone to take over when you're tapped out or touched out doesn't exist. But each event is pushing you to be the most attuned mother you could ever imagine being. I mean, I fucking salute any person that's had to be a single mum from their newborn age.
That's why.
Neither of us can relate to that, but just hats off, honestly. And this is the story I want a full circle moment to. When Your Real found me, I had to deal with hearing the news he's moved on, and I was over him and his shit behaviour, but it still hurt. 3 months later, and he's found a new victim to sprout his lies to and make out like he's dad of the year.
I thought she was going to say sprout his sperm to.
Probably. He'd introduced his 8-year-old who was my stepson, and this woman wasn't even his girlfriend, I knew my then 6-month-old was next. After failing to commit to seeing his son for an hour at my place once a week, all of a sudden he wanted to have him overnight, to take my breastfeeding baby away from me to an unsafe environment where he doesn't know, when he wasn't even looking after his 8-year-old, and leaving him and my family to go out or see this new woman, yet couldn't commit to consistently seeing his newborn for once a week. Safe to say I shut the idea down, or so I thought. One evening I knew, when my child's father was being more vile than usual, name-calling, demanding he has his son, breaking boundaries, etc., it's because he had a new woman he needed to love bomb and impress and show that I was the crazy ex-baby mother, something he'd done to me with his 8-year-old mother.
You started to see patterns.
I could tell something was up because he was fighting hard to see my son, which never happened, but refused to see him either with my supervision, and it clicked so quickly. She's obviously around there and he wants to introduce my son to his new person. Oh, the audacity. I stood my ground and didn't allow my son out of my sight. This is because of drug use, drinking, instability, a major car crash due to his reckless and dangerous driving, 3 months of proven inconsistency, and not providing a stable environment for my son, going out being more important, and zero interest in being a father. Good for you. It was later confirmed that my intuition was entirely correct. She was there, and he was trying to introduce my 6-month-old to a girl who wasn't even his girlfriend yet. He was trying to show I was stopping him from seeing his son and looked like the amazing dad he always lied to me that he was. I sit there imagining if I'd let my baby boy out of my sight, a random stranger being able to kiss him on the mouth or even hold him, it makes me shiver in disgust. Even now that my son is nearly 8 months, he's still not seen him since the 13th of November. How can I? It's weird. Since then, this lady, who might I add, I was worried for by getting involved with him, has thankfully kicked his ass to the curb. She had a problem with how he parented, or should I say the lack of. She has a little boy and saw right through the bullshit. Thank the Lord, yes.
She has a little boy. I'm with you.
Thank the Lord for women with children who won't put up with the deadbeat dads and see through their bullshit. This is a skill that before I had my son I wasn't aware of. He fooled me, and I really learnt the hard way by choosing him as the father of my child. It's a new guilt I still can't seem to come to terms with. Oh, please don't carry that guilt. Like, it wasn't a choice that you made. Like, you were blindsided, and like, that wasn't, you didn't do that willingly or knowingly. That's not guilt that you should ever carry. What I've gained is a great relationship with his ex, which he fucking hates, as he can't play us off each other anymore, which in turn, our sons will get to see each other whenever they want to. That's so nice. Which, when left up to my ex, was never arranged, and his oldest really suffered not seeing his brother. This woman brought me formula in a storm as I couldn't get to the shop. She's lovely and not at all like the lies that he told me about her. Ladies, please always trust your gut. If something about a situation is telling you hell no, listen to that instinct. It could save your child so much destruction at the hands of a parent who doesn't have their child's best interests at heart, just their own selfishness. I wish I could detail the ins and outs of this toxic twat, but there isn't enough time in the world that I want to dwell on this piece of shit, in brackets father. Over 2 years with him was long enough. I just hope no woman touches him with a barge pole and sees his bullshit a mile off. Oh, and one final thing. Not contributing to our son's life and leaving it all up to the mother is financial abuse. The CMS system isn't great at getting fast action support, but I recommend persevering. The way this is going, my ex will be going to court to retrieve arrears he owes me and his ex. And to any women doing this on your own, keep going, you are magic. Karma always finds her way in the end. I mean, do you know what? Like, I feel really empowered by your attitude. Like, you have had a really, really tough time. And how lovely that you formed a relationship with the mother of your son's brother. I think that's really, really nice. Like, it's a little happy ending to a shit show.
I think as well, like, sometimes we need to like remove the narrative of like, I really hope women see him before he like gets it. It's not your problem to worry about. Like, I feel like let other people make the mistake. Like, let him carry on doing what he's doing. Like, if he doesn't want to become a better person, that's not on you anymore. You've done all the right things. Your son is incredibly lucky to have you. I think sometimes we can obsess over what the other person's doing and like, how dare they look happy or move on, or, you know, it can often look like they've got it all now. Like, why wasn't I enough? But focus on yourself. It's the biggest piece of advice I would give to anyone. Like, also, they're never as happy as they are like to portray they are.
Yeah, and I also think, oh, do you know what? I actually had this thought the other day. Like, I still obviously don't know. Why would I ever know? I wonder what my ex tells people, like why we aren't together, what he tells his girlfriend. I feel like a lot of us single mums who have had to leave a man because of their behaviour, we will be painted out to be the villain in their family, but they're the clown in ours, and just got to let them get on with it.
Sometimes it really bothers me. Like,
do you know what? Actually, maybe I should say this on Patreon. I'm going to say that Patreon. Right, guys, let's do an affirmation of the week. Do you know what I think it is? I think it's really not carrying guilt about something that you had no control over, that you were not aware of any bad intent. And it wasn't your fault. Like, let go of the guilt for things that someone else should be feeling guilty for. And
amen.
Forward, positive.
We'll see you next week.
Love you guys.